Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Vertex Stock Car Cup, and of course, welcome to the third round of Season 3, 150 tours of Iowa. This race is going to do exactly what it says on the tin. Chaz Draycott here with Chris Dawes alongside me once again. Well, Chris, we're back once again on a Wednesday night, our last broadcast of the year. This should be a belter, shouldn't it?
Hello, mate. So this is Christmas.
Yeah, it is.
There's a song there. Hello, mate. Yeah, it's we're only sort of partway through the season 3, aren't we? But you're right. It's the last one of the calendar year, isn't it? And I'm intrigued by this one. This is a rather brutal sounding circuit, to be honest, for these guys. And looking at the times for practice, obscenely close.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I was commentating on some truck racing around here recently, and this circuit is so deceiving. The banking isn't very steep. It's not really a narrow circuit like we've seen before. It's just, you're never straight. You're never in a straight line at all. A lot of the drivers in the truck series that I was commentating on were saying that you are constantly turning. Like, you can't just get on a straight and plant it and go in a straight line. You are always making sure that it's turning in, and you're always balancing it. It's going to be very, very tough tonight. And practice has just finished. All the cars have just gone in, so we're going to get qualifying straight underway. But once again, well, some of the guys in the chat before were saying we hope Aaron Smith doesn't turn up tonight, but he's back once again in his wonderful camo.
Yeah, he's going to be difficult to beat. He was top of the times, but it's by much smaller margins this time, isn't it? I mean, saying that, his was an unnaturally large amount, 0.4 of a second, which I can tell you from the rest of the field, that is actually quite a big field. Although, look at that, even on the outlap there, he's just made a little bit of a mistake, a big old mistake, and he's put himself back into the pitch to try again. That's the outlap. It goes to show how difficult this is, isn't it? What have you got? It's into turn. Officially, it's less than a mile, this oval, so it's a real bowl speedway, one that I'm sort of going, I'd love to watch here. But you've got 3 lanes. There is 3 lanes that they can pick. They don't need to worry too much about tyres, although sort of 1 or 2 of the lines will officially sort of look after the tyres a bit more, but apparently they don't need to worry too much about that. But if you go to the outside of turns 1 and 2, well, you can't. Mark Werrell's even said you can't do it, because basically what you've got is the tunnel from the outside to the inside of the circuit goes there, and apparently it is a bumps that will just throw you at the wall. You just can't do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. These cars get very unsettled very quickly around a circuit like this. And, I mean, we've seen them on an absolute knife edge before with pace, haven't we? And, well, we'll go on board, actually. We'll just show you. You'll see it's moving around like mad. Is Aaron Smith. He's trying to get it turned in, but like I said, the banking is not steep at all. It's actually quite shallow in comparison to a lot of other circuits he goes to. Really riding up near that wall as close as he can, and he's on the clutch already. And look at that, 13,000.
Oh, and he's not topped it.
Yeah, just misses out.
Wow. But that goes to show, that's the point. A, he's human, and B, how difficult this actually is.
Yeah, it really is,
He's not happy with it, is he?
No.
He's sort of wobbling around. He's not happy with that at all. I mean, in fact, now he's off the front row.
He is, yeah. As Adrian Burks goes fastest. Adrian Burks in the number 72 machine. Nice job from him. We've seen him quick before, haven't we? I mean, he really hates the sort of roval events that we do, but he's really quite handy on an oval, it seems.
Well, quite. I was looking at that earlier and see, yeah, he was 6th in the opening round, which of course was around the speedway, and yet at the last round, Road America, what was he? He was 18th place. So he's going to be delighted we're back on the speedway again.
Yeah,
and he's actually kept himself ahead of Sedgwick as well. Alex, the boss, is not on pole yet.
Kenny Mitchell, though. Cam E Motorsports get in their sunshine. Straight up there to the top of the pile. So if you've got a white and red car, you do well. Yeah, Alex is up there. He's going to be pleased with that, of course. Aaron Smith now down to 6th place. James Montgomery for JJ Racing. He is 7th as things stand. But wow, he's it's certainly taken us a bit by surprise there. This is James Harvey in the Student Motorsport machine. We always love to see James's livery out there. He is currently in 9th position. He won't be too put off by that. Mark Werrell back out there tonight, of course, our fellow commentator. And the Squadra di Corsi Veloci machine certainly standing out in its wonderful pink livery. But he's actually, as we spoke earlier, he normally has his son Jack Werrell spotting for him, but he's not around this evening.
No, he's got to do it blind, which I know he was a bit nervous about, because he says it's a real challenge, as we were sort of explaining earlier, real challenge for this this course. And yeah, he's kind of got to do it blind. He's still learning how to do these cars on these kind of circuits, and yeah, he's suddenly not got. And he was saying his son actually not only is his spotter, but actually calls the the strategy for him as well. And he's not going to have that help either.
Yeah, that's very true. It gives you that little bit more confidence, doesn't it, when you've got a spotter or somebody helping you out. But to be sort of lone wolf on this one, it's going to be a bit scary for him. But fingers crossed he can do all right. I mean, in the first oval race of the season, he didn't do too badly, in all fairness. You know, with his pace, he was managing it well. Now, one thing they were talking about in the drivers' briefing earlier is this pit lane entry. You really want to try and use the banking to your advantage just to get the car just pitched in that little bit more. And some of the guys are going to try it on the apron, but you know what these things are like. They'll understeer wide on an apron. Others are going to get it down the banking, but we're going to see some difficult pit entries tonight. And I've seen people go off around there before and hit the wall, so don't expect everybody's getting there cleanly, everyone.
That's going to be interesting then. Talking of interesting, look at that. Champ leader Aaron Smith, 2 wins out of 2 so far, and he's down on the 3rd row. Yeah,
he's not had the best of qualifying runs there. We'll just run you through the grid then. Kenny Mitchell takes pole position from Adrian Burks, with Alex Sedgwick and Mikey Doble making up row 2. We then have Mark Redford and Aaron Smith on the 3rd row, with James Montgomery and Jason Glenn on row 4. They're followed by James Harvey and David Van Glebeek. Then it's Ben Willis and Jack Mace on row 6. He's got Brian Crowles behind him in 13th, with Justin Nyer 14th. Marcel Freinzehner is in 15th place, just ahead of Mark Werrell, with Peter Bennett and Ben Bennyworth on the 9th row of the grid. Lewis Kent lines up alongside Mark Murphy to round out your top 20, with Dave Carr-Smith and Stefan McCready in 22nd. Hans Blankart is 23rd, ahead of Ivan Boumans in the Track Velocity Racing car in 24th, and he will round out the back of the grid. So we see them all sat ready to go, but as we said a minute ago, Chris, it's it's a white and red car if you want to be at the front of the field.
It does. I'm loving Adrian Burks. I'm trying to think, what is that? It's like one of the Aussie supercars or something like that, isn't it? He's gone for the livery.
Yeah.
It does look really, really good, that. But yeah, alongside him, Adrian Burks in the white and red. That's sort of a bit more red to pick that one out. And then the boss Sedgwick in a very funky livery this year. Good to see. Obviously, he's going to have the Vertex alongside there. But Mikey Doble in his familiar blue and white that we commentate on in the real world is BMW's that blue and white livery as well. So he's got to keep it the same, hasn't he?
Oh, aye. It certainly looks good on both cars as well. It stands out. And obviously, after coming in partway through season 2, I think he turned up in the end of season 1 and then came into season 2 and was absolutely on fire. And he's shown, well, okay. I did get caught out by the pace car doing that the other day. You know, it turns, which is something a Mustang doesn't normally do. But Mikey Doble's been one of the stars, really. He showed how good he was at Montreal, the famous race where Chaz's internet properly died, and you had to take on their solo duties. But watching that back, he was epic there, wasn't he?
Genuinely, he really, really was, and it was wicked when we interviewed him afterwards. The excitement in his voice, as well as the delight in it. Now, this shows that he's kind of getting more rounded in racing these cars now, because now this is on a speedway, very different to the Canada race circuit. To be fair, isn't it? So he's getting all the skills lined up and ready to go. But it's one thing to do it in qualifying, 150 laps of this race, although it's saying lap 2 of 150 already.
Yeah, it's just going to count these as warm-up, I think, which is odd. But we'll have to see. Typical iRacing things. But it's a lovely little short circuit, this one. It's not a very long one at all. They reckon that the pit window is going to be between 55 and 65 laps, so we may not get many pit stops, but it depends on cautions and other bits that may affect what goes on.
It's going to be almost like splash and dash at the end, isn't it, really, by the sounds of that?
Yeah, you'll see some of these guys really try and make the tyres last, but that's easier said than done, to be honest. So Kenny Mitchell is going to lead these guys around then. The Mustang pace car will, again, defy all laws of physics, and he actually turns into the pit lane. Turns quite well. But round 3 of the Vertex Stock Car Cup is underway, and Adrian Burks has had Kenny Mitchell off there by the look of it. Kenny sort of went, then didn't, and now Cedric's in there as well. Look at Montgomery down the inside of Mark Redford. Good to see Mark out there in the Turn 4 Motorsports machine. Mark's one of the guys I've actually been commentating on in the My Turn Racing truck racing series on Sunday nights in the similar livery, number 31. And look at this now, almost 3 wide between these boys. There's already, Chris, a lap is under the books.
Well, it's just incredible how quickly we get round one of the laps, and it's going to mount up, and the lap counter did reset, which is good to see. We get plenty of these. But you look how tricky this is that it suddenly looked like Montgomery in that sort of pinky purple and blue number 14 car was having a field day on the inside line there. But it just seems to have washed out for him now, whereas the opposite was happening for the number 9, the black and red car of Alex Sedgwick. He looked really loose on the outside there, but it's just an optical illusion because he's hanging it in. He's sat there third, challenging for... he's challenging for third, isn't he? Because Mikey Doble sort of sat there third and fourth with him. Burke's just ahead of him, but all the while it's allowing Kenny Mitchell to escape in that number 4 car at the front.
Yeah, he's starting to just drive off with it a bit. You do get a little bit of that here at Iowa, but of course with it being a shorter circuit, you get quite a lot of traffic in the latter stages as well, as Doble tries to slot in between Burks and Cedric there. It doesn't quite work for him. As side by side again, round 1 and 2 they go. Constant side by side round here sometimes in these races as well, so there's going to be plenty of it, barely any single file. This is now Mark Redford with reigning champion Aaron Smith behind as Cedric goes down the inside of Doble into 3 and 4. But again, that high line, you can just see the momentum those guys carry off there. It's wonderful stuff as he boots it and goes all the way around the outside. It's like a little bit of sort of automatic defence, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the fastest game of chess by the looks of it, isn't it? And I know that we were having discussions about the fact that you need to sort of be thinking like 2-3 corners ahead of what you're going to do. And whilst the banking's not massive, is that it's still enough to sort of throw yourself from the high down to the low to try and get the run onto the quote-unquote straightaway. Not that there's much of a straight. And there we go, the number 48, Brian Krause. That's unusual to see Brian making that kind of mistake, isn't it?
Yeah, just lighting it up a little bit too much on the run out of 3 and 4, and unfortunately he goes around side by side between the 58 and 38. That's Mark Murphy and Lewis Kent. Of course, Lewis Kent driving in the TCR UK and Dunlop Touring Car Trophy this year. Commentated on him at Silverstone and his wonderful Hyundai i30N TCR, and he's certainly in a different kettle of fish at the moment with these machines, but he's been enjoying it all the same, hasn't he?
And I think I can get the impression he's actually got a new sim setup to the point where he's not finished doing it, and he's possibly not even at home, and he's at a sim centre or something like that. Basically, in essence, it means that he's not in his normal, comfortable environment, is he?
No, but it just seems to be the fact that he's trying something new, which is good. But yeah, the consistency is not easy to pull off when you're changing the sim equipment. Some people, it doesn't seem to bother them, but others it certainly does. Yes, I've had a comment saying that the frame rate in the stream isn't spot on at the minute, and I do apologise, guys. It seems there's a bitrate issue with Restream, which we're using for the evening, sending it out to Twitch, Facebook and YouTube, and it seems that there is a bitrate issue with it, so I'm trying to sort it while we go, and hopefully we'll get back to the juicy, smooth 60 frames. But I said we weren't going to get much single file, Chris, but these guys have proved me wrong at the minute.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the point that we were hearing is that it can take a very long time for a move to be completed or not completed, because they will try to make the move and they'll sit side by side, and that's where we're going to get a lot of the side by side is that the move will just take that long. Think of lorries trying to overtake each other on the motorway, basically, is that it's just going to take them forever to do it, and they've got to have the patience, not suddenly go, I'm making the move, it's going to get signed, sealed and delivered in an instant. They've got to stick with it and know that they've got to put themselves in the position for the next couple of corners. The number 16 car there is all over the back of that's James Harvey, isn't it, in the student motorsport car. But David Van Glabeck, I thought I saw a message saying that he wasn't going to be able to take part tonight, but he's definitely out there, which is good to see. The Belgian racing driver, I'm sure I saw a message saying that he couldn't, but we're starting to get what you were predicting, though. Look, more and more of the Noah's Ark 2x2 happening. One of the cars that I've just picked out, he has made up a place now, but it's a long way back from where you'd expect to see him, and that's Dave Carr-Smith in number 24, down in 17th place. Bearing in mind that he sat there, was he fourth in the championship with a 7th and 8th so far this year, so he's way out of where we'd expect to see him be at the moment, but he's gradually starting to pick his way through.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. You do get these random races mid-season, don't we? I mean, we've seen them before where drivers just can't perform to how they normally do. But him and his teammate have been all up and down the order. Him and Stephen McCready, there he is in the other Fair Play Racing machine, number 17. Him and his teammate have been sort of bouncing from one end of the table to the other in their races so far. They seem to be very good at comeback drives, but someone that's on one of those is Brian Crowell's trying to go around the outside there in the Track Velocity Racing number 48 machine. Still carrying the bald eagle and the American flag, as he does. Bless him. Aaron Smith is climbing up a little bit. He's gained one place from where he started at the expense of Mark Redford. He's now trying to get past Adrian Burks, who has dropped down behind Doble and Sedgwick. So we've got a bit of shuffling. Hello. James Montgomery very close there to the back of Mark Redford. But a bit of shuffling near the front is certainly what the doctor ordered here. Is just behind Van Glebeek and Harvey side by side again.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. You've got to have that patience. That's been going backwards and forwards. Do your partner for a good few laps, and just chomping at the bit in the background is Mason, the number 36, the white and green number 36 car. That's a slight tweak of colours for him, isn't it? Wasn't he sort of like a turquoisey colour with the white rather than that green? That's quite fetching colour scheme he's got there.
Yeah, I think he's changed that due to his sponsor for this season.
Okay.
And it certainly does look good on the car. It's nice bold as well with the big 36 down the side. It's certainly a fetching style of number as well. A lot of these drivers do get custom numbers painted on the side of their cars, and it does look good indeed. Jack Mace, very young driver as well. He's now got James Harvey right in front of him after Van Glebeek has got ahead. But now at the very front, Kenny Mitchell's lead is only just over half a second to Mikey Doble at the moment. We've seen how fast Doble can be. He's got Sedgwick behind him, then Adrian Burks, and then Mark Redford, and the rest tagging onto the back of him at the moment. He's not having an easy time of it, is he?
He's not, is he, at all? Montgomery's having a little sneaky snifter up the inside of the championship leader, Aaron Smith there, but Aaron Smith at the same time is trying to go up the inside in that sort of black and yellow camo. He's still got the traditional yellow and black, I like to see, but a little bit different this year. But look at that, the 31 car of Redford was very sideways as he went into the corner, but he basically almost power slid that through, and it hasn't compromised him at all, has it? Look at that, he's now actually all over the back of Adrian Burke. So even when it looks for a second as though they've gone in a bit hot, that's worked for him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some of them get a really good slingshot off the corner because of that, and it's the sort of balancing act that you've got to do. You know, you could take that tight line on the inside like Mark's done there, and you can see Adrian Burks stays a little bit wider mid-corner, and he can just carry that extra bit of pace out of there, and away he goes. It's just a bit of an odd one. And there you go, another bit of overlap. Redford goes wider on the exit, and then he's going to magnetise towards the wall, needs to correct, and unfortunately upsets his momentum a bit. Again, you'll see it here now. Look, Mark goes low. You can see they're like lanes painted onto the circuit anyway. Adrian's a lane higher, but he gets on the power a bit earlier, although he does give the wall a bit of a kiss there, which isn't going to help him at all. But these guys get so close to that wall, and with them being left-hand drive as well, you've got to just admire the consistency and the accuracy of their driving to get that right. Now look at Smith getting a good run off that low line. So many different strategies, corner after corner. This is why we love this sort of racing, isn't it?
Well, I mean, you look at, again, Redford's having a look up the inside of Adrian Burks there, but the point being is that whilst the main tussle is those two, you've then got the Predator, Aaron Smith, just sat there in that black and yellow number 70 car. He knows full well he's just waiting to pick up the pieces. He's not trying excessively hard at the moment, is he? Because he's seeing these two are going at it like a pair of prize fighters. Now he's seen the opportunity, because all of a sudden Redford had just made that tiny little or an attempted move that didn't work, dropped him back from Adrian Burks, and Aaron Smith's gone, fine, now I can pick you off because I'm not trying to go at two of you, I'm going at one of you at a time. Up goes Aaron Smith, up the inside, sign seal delivered, up to fifth. Awesome work.
Yeah, nice job. Nice job indeed. And like you said, it's just all about the patience. You've got to just eke it out bit by bit, piece by piece. You've just got to slowly and smoothly just make your way further up. And it's not easy to do that, you know. Really not easy to do that. And it takes time to get it all right.
Freinzen's in a new livery as well.
Yeah, he's gone for a bit more of a grey livery this time round, it seems, which is nice. It works well for him, but it's a lot more plain than what we were used to last season. He had a sort of white and pink livery, didn't we, that we particularly enjoyed.
And last race out 2 weeks ago, he had the black car with the rainbow on it, didn't he, as well?
Yeah, very true indeed. He certainly likes to change it up every so often, don't we all? It's always nice to have a livery change here and there. I'm just trying. I've had a couple of issues here with bitrate. I think Google Chrome is having a bit of a nightmare, so I'm just going to try and sort this out live in the background, everybody. So sorry about this.
Drop me down if you need to on my quality as well, mate. You know that.
Oh, that was the first thing I tried.
Not important. I thought it might be. We're looking at Mark Werrell. I know he's really appreciative of Squadra di Corsa Veloci that have run that sorted that car out for him, his team, and he's loving the opportunity. He's one of my major commentator companions. He and I have commentated together so many times, and hopefully we're going to be doing it a lot next year. You know, the only problem is that we do get dragged in different directions. And 24's losing it there right in front of him and just forced Mark Werrell to throw the anchors out the back there. Dave Carr-Smith, as I said, that he's out of position, and there is the loss has carried on. Mark Werrell, I thought he just about got that back under control, but he didn't, and that was unfortunate. He was mid-corner as he had to get off the power himself, and I think he's then gone, lift off oversteer, hasn't he, basically, by the looks of that.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Let's have a look now then. So you can just see the massive slide, and he sneaks it through, and then he gets going. Does he get hit? He does. He gets hit.
He does, yeah. Oh, no. And it's Crowles, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well,
it definitely looked like Crowles, didn't it? Let's have another look from an external viewpoint. That's such a shame for Mark. He's having a good run through as well.
And he'd done well to avoid that incident. Oh, against all the odds.
Oh, Brian gets hit himself.
Brian gets hit, yeah. Oh, wow.
Naughty Lewis.
Lewis Kent, wasn't it? To be fair, they never had anywhere to go, did they?
No. The thing is, though, the laws of iRacing, you'll get absolutely roasted if you don't slow down for an incident. People will say, slow it up, and he's flat. And, yeah, he's just flat into the back of both of them, unfortunately. He's gonna get a little slap on the wrist for that, but we've got plenty of cars in the pits. Look at this.
Okay, this is quite early. Now, this means that I was expecting the splash and dash at the tail end. They've turned it on its head, haven't they?
Yeah, they've just seen this as a golden opportunity. You know, 29 laps in the books, most of the way through a run at the moment. So, part of me is sort of surprised, part of me isn't. I think it's...
Well,
depends
look
how
at all the big hitters have all come in, so what do we know? We're mere mortals, aren't we, Chaz? You know, they know better than us. But it does to me, and it has really put the cat amongst the pigeons now, hasn't it? That order's completely changed. But yeah, you know, if you're looking at something like 55 to 65 laps in this 150 lap race, you're talking that you've got, you know, a stop at past third distance, way past third distance, which means you're then going to have considerably less to run on your final set of tyres if they'd gone for that sort of a bit more than splash and dash, but it's a very short final stint. Well, because of this caution, they've just literally flipped that on its head. That's then assuming we're not going to get any more cautions, which I'm not sure on a track like this.
Yeah, I think maybe we will. It depends on how much these guys want to behave, I suppose. It's not the easiest track to behave yourself on, to be honest, because...
And it's going to evolve, isn't it? I mean, that was one of the interesting comments that I was seeing about this track, is that where we've got it sort of starting... I can't remember, what is it? It's like starting early evening, wasn't it, or something like that, or late afternoon, and the track temperature is going to evolve and get cooler, and as we get to the latter part, it is going to be a completely different challenge for them, apparently.
Yeah, I was trying to just think about some of the differences between the trucks that I was watching here not long ago. And obviously these things, a little bit more power, slightly shorter wheelbase, so maybe you could say they could be more prone to over-rotating in comparison to the trucks, but again, it just comes down to weight over the rear. But as these cars are made, we both know that weight over the rear isn't really a thing. So it's enticing to know what the difference would be, but I think still we're going to be in for a very tricky one for these guys. Now, as you said, Chris, a lot of the front runners have now shuffled backwards due to the pit stops that they've gone for. And Jason Glenn finds himself at the front of the pack with Van Glebeek alongside him. I've still tried to sort his name on the overlay and still it doesn't like me. But behind them, Justin Nair and Ben Bennyworth, who recently competed in the Christmas beach party in the British Boring Car Championship. He had a right good little run out. Hopefully he has a bit more success here this evening. He's in the 96 on the second row, and Jason Glenn has gone, and he's caught a lot of them napping there. Now watch Mikey Doble and Alex Sedgwick. Look at these two here. Sedgwick down the inside. Lewis Kent's been mugged off there, and so too Kenny Mitchell around the outside. That's the difference the fresh tyres make. And look at them pushing forward. They're 4 wide in places. They say cautions breed cautions. Are we going to see one? How? How did they make that? Oh, James Harvey's gone deep, though. So's Lewis Kent into Mikey Doble. Oh, hold your breath.
Goodness me.
Breathe in, boys. Wow.
I felt more like I was the ball in a skittle alley then, to be honest with you, watching that one. Goodness me, that was incredible. And they're still going, trying to go 4 deep. And Adrian Burks has really lost out. Look at the 72 car. And he's a long way down through this field now. It's really compromised him. Lewis Kent on the inside of him then in that sort of black-white with the turquoise flash on the 38 car. Mark Werrell trying to cut up the inside of the person that kind of compromised him somewhat, although he probably doesn't know it. Brian Crowell's just ahead of him in the delivery. I mean, this really has turned this order completely on its head, hasn't it? In so many ways. Even from the midfield backwards, it's sort of on its head somewhat, and they're still trying to go 3 or 4 wide, but all holding it brilliantly well, aren't they?
Yeah, it's just showing how good a circuit this is when you add in some 3 or even 4 wide racing.
Look at Sedgwick. He's gone and got himself up to second. He's a Il Bandido. And Aaron Smith in third, eh? Cream rises to the top.
It does indeed. Jason Glenn's still leading the race, though. He's going to be trying to run away. And we know how nerve-wracking it can be at the front of the field, especially when you've got the likes of Sedgwick and, of course, Mr. Aaron Smith behind. Justin Nair just had a bit of a kiss of the wall there, and Kenny Mitchell's taken advantage. And gone
Who put
through.
the mistletoe there?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, they can take it down now. Feels like forever ago that it was Christmas Day, doesn't it?
I don't know, I still haven't sobered up from it yet, to be honest, mate. No point with it. And I've just gone into tier 4 as well, so let's keep it going.
Same here.
Oh, and Werrell's just sort of beasted his way through past Blanchard there in the 33 car. Just a bit of a kiss and a cuddle as he went through there, and it just pushed him a little bit wide. But look at this. It's all changed. Sedgwick's through. Glenn just bounces off the wall a little bit as Aaron Smith comes up the inside. Smith in the 70 car is trying to make it too for the price of 1, and he's up the inside of Sedgwick in the number 9 car. I'm getting a feeling of deja vu, these two going at it at the front.
Oh, they're just dancing partners, aren't they? Absolute dancing partners, these pair. They have some epic racing between the two of them. Last season was a joy to watch because of them pair. Mark Redford and Kenny Mitchell are getting a bit friendly as well as they come out of 1 and 2. Mikey Doble's in 7th place. And this is the thing. Some of those first laps after the green flag were some of the most important in this race, because what it's done is it's set the tone for this run now. Some of these drivers, once the tyres have gone off a bit as James Harvey gets friendly with the wall, once the tyres start to go off now, they're not going to make as much forward progress as they would have done straight away as soon as they were on the fresh tyres. So the ones that have taken proper advantage of it, like Alex, Aaron and Kenny at the front, and Mark Redford, who's now going past Jason Glenn, they're the ones that have put themselves in a really strong position. But further back, some of these guys are getting held up by the traffic, aren't they?
Well, to back up your point now, is you got Jason Glenn in the 55 car that had been leading the way. He didn't pit. And you can see he's just being picked off relatively straightforward by these cars that are on the fresh rubber, hasn't he? Which has got to be absolutely frustrating as heck for him. But he's clearly rolling the dice for the longer game here. And so, although this is what I love about this racing, is that we're watching it all kind of go one particular direction right now. Come the end of the race, it could absolutely turn on its head. We just do not know at the moment.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It really is. And all it takes is one caution, just one of these drivers, the chance that they could just get on the throttle a little bit early, spin up the rears and just put the car around like we saw with Dave Carr-Smith earlier. All that would take is just a little bit of over-eagerness, and suddenly you've got a yellow flag and everybody's pit strategies are called into question and everyone's races are turned on their heads. You could see a fantastic call. You could see a call by a driver that's maybe not so great and doesn't work out for them. I mean, Jason, you could say it was a brave one by staying out, but it's not working for him now. He wants another yellow so he can get back on level pegging, because that's it, isn't it? You need to climb that ladder. You need to just get up as high as you can and pray that something will then reset it all, give you a yellow, and get everybody back on level pegging. And unfortunately for Jason, it's not paying off at the minute, but I do need to go back to the front after my warble, because these two are at it again.
Unsurprisingly, look at this, is that not quite. I thought that we had Aaron Smith was threatening to go side by side. You can see coming up behind him Kenny Mitchell as well, the front row starting Kenny Mitchell, trying to get himself back on terms with these guys, taking with him the green and white number 31 car of Redford. The point being is that these two are actually fighting hard enough that they are throwing themselves back into the clutches of these two behind. You can see that gap's coming down. It's a two-car fight for the lead at the moment. But it does rapidly look as though it's becoming not just 3, it's 4, because I think Redford's going to go with him. Let's not discount in 5th place the white and blue number 88 car of Mikey Doble. There he is in the background. He's managed to pick his way through the cars behind him and put some daylight between them already. And look at what that's enabled him to do. Montgomery and Adrian Burks are having their own fight behind them. The purple car of Burks, Montgomery is currently holding off Adrian Burks. Burks is going to want to get past him as quickly as possible after his front row start. But Mikey Doble, he's done a cracking job of get past them, get the daylight, start closing in on the 31 car of Redford. It could actually suddenly become a 5-car train for the lead. Interestingly, actually, Montgomery and Burke, somehow, it is actually going with them as well, isn't he? So this could actually, what would that make it? That'd be a 7-car train for the lead. It doesn't look like it's that easy to break away at the front, does it?
No, it really doesn't. I think that the train can very quickly get longer and very quickly close up again, it seems. But not quite sure who's going to be making the moves and who's not. This is now Peter Bennett, known as Outrage87 on Twitch. Very popular streamer indeed, down the inside of Stefan McCready in the Fair Play Racing Machine.
I thought he was just about to sort of like wash out a little bit and catch the rear corner of the 17 car there of McCready, but thankfully he stopped drifting out wide there. Yeah,
it's easy to do that, isn't it? When you just drift out wide, you get on the power that little bit early, it just pushes the front end, and when the tyres are going off as well, it's this really painful slide up. Now, Aaron Smith is hoping not to slide up here, but Sedgwick's got the power around the outside. Kenny Mitchell's got a good view of this. We'll go on board with Kenny, get a great view here of Iowa. We were here at the end of the previous season, and it's such a lovely circuit to drive around. As we keep saying, it is such a challenge, and the night lighting is coming on as well. As you can see there, the beautiful sunset here on iRacing. It is only going to get darker and darker this evening here. But now, the front runners, now they're going to start battling together here, Chris. I reckon Kenny Mitchell could be on them very, very soon.
Oh, quite. And in fairness, it is a whole gaggle of them taking it. Aaron Smith's gone up the inside at the moment on the track. He's got it, but that doesn't mean it's completed yet, because that outside line, Sedgwick's got it back again. It really is grandstand seating. It's backing up the points we're making. Look at that line, lanes 1 and 3. No, the only one in 2 is Mitchell in this 3rd place. Oh. And it is the real difference that's being made. It's the switcheroo. Sedgwick now dives back up the inside of Aaron Smith, and it is do-si-do your partners between these two. I can imagine them sat there in their sims giggling away, because these two have been at this for most of this calendar year, for goodness sake. Aaron Smith does the dive up towards the inside now, and he has the lead. Sedgwick is now going to try and do the switcheroo, and he nearly catches the back of Aaron Smith, but look, Sedgwick's now back into the lead. Freeze, how low can you go? And all the while, this is allowing Kenny Mitchell in that number 4 car. He is now glued onto the back of these guys, but does he really want to get too heavily involved? He needs to wait until one of them just sort of makes a little mistake with the effort so he can pick one of them off. Because we saw Aaron Smith do that earlier, didn't we? Where he just waited until it wasn't 2. He was able to pick off one lame duck, and then he took advantage of it. But it's very much a 3. What's that behind? Is Redford and Doble glued together for 4th and 5th? Adrian Burks has got past Montgomery now. He's into 6th place. We knew he was going to try and do that, and he's already breaking away from Montgomery, I think. So Adrian Burks now desperately trying to latch onto the back of these two.
Yeah, they're having a real old battle between the pair, which is nice to see. Mega stuff once again.
Doble's trying to have a look in that 88 car, looking towards the inside. Oh, and he nearly washed out and caught that rear corner, but thankfully he didn't. Now that has worked. I think he just kind of psyched out the 31 car of Redford there. Who's into the pits there? Somebody just dived towards the pits. That was Lewis Kent, actually. So I wonder whether he's got a little bit of an issue.
Yeah,
I didn't notice whether he's stopped yet or not. No, that he didn't stop under the caution. So this could be, what we at, lap 55? Well, this is sort of...
He's missed his
not
box.
far off, is it? Oh, no, has he?
He's gone past his box.
Oh, yeah, he's 38, isn't he?
Mark Murphy's had an issue, by the way. That's sideways. Hello. Oh, don't hit the wall, Mark. There's a bit of advice. Oh, and he hits it, but no yellow, unfortunately, for him. And unfortunately for some of the others. Nice little attempt at a J-turn then. I did plenty of them in the snow today. But unfortunately, Lewis Kent, out of the race, it seems. Yeah, the camera's not picking him up anymore. So that is a dropout for Lewis Kent, I'm afraid. It's a real shame.
It is. That is a shame. But as I say, don't forget he's not on his own rig at the moment, and he's got to set up his new one at some point. So he was out on the strangers, and you've got to be in your comfort zone. There is no comfort zone at the front. Alex Sedgwick, number 9, leading the way. Aaron Smith still chomping at the bit, the championship leader. Kennedy Mitchell doing an awesome job in that number 4 car. Excuse me, just behind him. And it is now a 5-car train if you look in the background, because Mikey Doble, the blue and white number 88 car, he is latched onto the back with 31 Redford just with him. What interests me, though, is that there's still a big old gap before we see Adrian Burks. The 72 car is going to be desperately hoping. Remember that Adrian, who sort of comes here, where was he? 7th in the championship.
Sorry, we had a car off there. Dave Carl Smith has put car and grass together. Oh, and
Jason Glenn's gone into the pits, by the way, I noticed. Another one that didn't stop under the caution.
Yeah, the tyres will be absolutely kicking his head in right now. Oh, Dave's done it on his own. There's a little bit of a tap as well with Justin Nyer. Again, strange that there's no yellow for that, really, because I've seen yellows come out for worse.
They've been drinking the sherry. That's what's going on. The officials are drinking sherry. Keeping the race going, which is good. But yeah, I mean, Adrian Burks, where he finished 6th in the first race, which of course was on the Speedway, and then once we went on to the road circuit of Road America, that really didn't work for him. 18th. Now back on the Speedway, he is in 6th, but having started from the front row, he's desperately hoping to work his way through. But he's got a lot of work to do, because the gap between him and the top 5 was pretty significant last I saw.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of battles that are closing up and then opening up again, and it comes back to the whole slingshot effect, doesn't it, around here? I mean, Brian Crowell's now down the inside of James Harvey. They've got Marcel Freinzehner behind. If your car is in the 40s, then you'll be very pleased with this battle. As now the two of them try and take the higher line to get that to work. Crowell's hangs to the inside. As the change at the front has happened once again. Aaron Smith down the inside of Alex Sedgwick. Sedgwick has actually got a good run out of there. He got a little bit sideways, didn't he? But he managed to still get it lit up, and off he goes.
Yeah, it looked a bit Toadie's Wild Ride, that, didn't it, for a moment? Goodness me. It was like he's riding a bucking bronco or a dog trying to change direction on a kitchen floor, as I've said before, as he went around that corner. It was just washing out something chronic. But I was trying to find the notes that sort of made the comment, is that there are going to be times that you're up high and then you just literally come charging down, and you're using that run from the high line down to the low as you go on to the quote-unquote straightaway, and carry that speed down there. And it looks like he's trying to get away with that, but it almost looks to me as though it's a needs must, as though it's not in the best health necessarily. I don't know. It just seems a bit early. Maybe they're starting to get a bit of washout now. They're in this sort of dirty air of back markers. I don't know. Mikey Doble's going for third just in the background there, up the inside of the number 4, Kenny Mitchell, and he's done it. Awesome job there. He's got himself up into third place. That's what you call patience, just gradually building his way up towards these top 3. He's got himself past one of them, and he's looming large between these two that are having a ding-dong as they try to get past the 58 Murphy back marker at the same time.
Yeah, that's another little bit of the cocktail to throw in. There's a bit of traffic. That always makes life interesting, doesn't it? There's now they try and just...
It certainly seemed to settle the cars, didn't it, being behind the back marker there?
Yeah, maybe a bit of the dirty air, just not helping the front end. We know that these things are definitely as Mark Murphy makes his car even more unaerodynamic by shaving off a bit on the right-hand wall. It's not his race so far. He's had a few internet issues previously in his races, and now it's just not going his way at all. Mikey Doble's
Kenny Mitchell's coming to the pits.
He has, yeah. Maybe a masterstroke there. Maybe he's just thinking, right, I'm going to try and get myself in a space on track now where I don't have to chase these guys. We've also got David Van Glebeek in the background as well. Dave Carr-Smith is in his box. Ivan Bauman's has just gone out. So some of these guys really struggling with the tyres now by the look of it and thinking, now is the time to come in. Do I get these tyres before we get a yellow?
Which... It seems a bit early for the tyres to be off, doesn't it? Really, I'm not sure what's happened there. I wonder whether the tyres aren't performing how they were expecting to, and they're having to sort of, because it looked like Alex Sedgwick was not in full control, and he's down into second place now. Aaron Smith has the lead again at the moment, but yeah, they didn't look as stable, did they, when we flicked to that battle at the front? So I wonder whether it's not behaving as they were expecting it to.
Yeah, maybe not. I think one of the reasons some of these guys might be coming in early, or earlier than others maybe, would be the fact that if you know the tyres are going off and these cars are getting harder to control, you're going to be banking on the fact that someone further back is just going to light up the rears and lose it and bring out a yellow. The sketchier it gets, the better it is to then be the one that comes in and risks sort of having fresher tyres before everybody else, because then if a yellow comes out, they're going to pit behind the safety car and you can go right to the front of the pack. But there's a bit of an overlap going on at the minute here, and like you say, Chris, it's all a little bit up in the air as things stand. Now we've got Mikey Doble on the back of Alex Sedgwick again.
He's looking the most dangerous out of any of them, isn't he, at the moment? Mikey Doble of Doble Motorcycles is looking absolutely monstrous at the moment. He's just patiently sort of picked his way up towards what was the top 3 at the time, past the third place car at that point of Kenny Mitchell. He's now all over the back of Alex Sedgwick, so it's looking absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's properly on it at the minute, doing a wonderful, wonderful job. Now, I do have a funny story about Mikey Doble, actually. Not just meeting him at Thruxton, but my cousin bought a motorcycle from Doble Motorcycles. Not through me, admittedly. I didn't even realise he was getting one, but my uncle has been a biker for years. He's had Hayabusa turbos and, well, about 5 different Hayabusas. And as a bit of a surprise, my cousin, before he went to Ascension Island with the RAF, wanted to get his bike licence and then go on a few rides with his old man. So he bought a motorcycle, and just by pure coincidence, he did it through Mikey Doble's. But he was keeping the bike at my auntie's house to keep it a secret from my uncle. And Mikey himself went to deliver the bike, and her name's Kay Draycott. So he turns up, has a conversation with her, and he says, she was ended up talking about me and said, oh, we've got a yellow. So now it's story time. Stephen McCready has had an off.
Just as Mikey Doble was about to make the move for second then as well.
Oh, it snaps the other way on him, and that is enough to bring out a yellow, unfortunately. Manages to carry on. Not sure about the damage there. But just to complete the story, she said, well, I'll make you a brew, you stay on the drive, and so on. Had a chat, and she started saying, oh, my nephew's a motorsport and esports commentator, and he put 2 and 2 together and saw the surname and said, it's not Chaz Draycott, is it? And he's like, I race in a series that he's commentated on. It's absolutely mad, but very small world. But yeah, Mikey
it is, mate. For better or for worse, motorsport is a very small world.
It is indeed. But Mikey apparently was an absolute legend that day, she has said, and a very lovely guy. So hats off, Mikey. He's also a quick racer in these cars. Now let's see what people do here, because I'm expecting, as we hit the halfway point here, I'm expecting some of them to take 2 tyres.
Now, Kenny Mitchell, you said this earlier, is that Kenny Mitchell's been in earlier than we were expecting. Now, that means he's not going to come in through. So where's that number 4 car going to be when these guys come back out again? Was there a little bit too much racing time before the caution came out? We'll have to wait and see. He's sat in 14th place at the moment is Kenny Mitchell, but this could work out.
Oh, that was close. He's not managed to gain that lap back because he's behind the safety car. That's gutting for him. But he rolled the dice, we use that phrase. He has rolled the dice here. And unfortunately, he's drawn snake eyes at the minute. I've been playing a lot.
Yeah, because that's back markers behind him. So he's been compromised by cars that are a lap behind him. Yeah,
well, he's got Van Beek on the same lap. McCready is the next car back, so 20 seconds. So then, Jason Glenn, Justin Nyer, Ben Bennyworth, Hans Blancart, and then some of these guys are all...
I meant in front of him. Look in front of him. You've got the Bauman's is what, so the cars that have stopped him from being able to still be up to speed to catch up to the safety car are cars that are behind him, a lap behind him.
Yeah.
Really compromised him.
Yeah, that's what we call being mugged off, I think. But that's part of it, isn't it? Strategy in motorsport. I had this argument the other day, actually, in a Discord server with somebody. They were saying that they wanted something to change in a race because it makes it harder. And they don't like that. They want it to be easier. And it's like, well, unfortunately, mate, motorsport's not made to be easy. It's a challenge. It's a risk. You have to figure these strategies out and crack on with it. If you have someone to help you, then, there's advantage gained, but it's not cheating in any way. But if you have to figure the strategy out yourself, then that's just part of it, unfortunately. Everyone's got to do it. So Kenny is taking that risk, and I'm afraid that, unfortunately, it's not paid off for him this time. But I'm intrigued to see how he does over the rest of the race, though, with catching up, because that's surely going to be a good comeback drive, that.
Yeah, I mean, it basically means if you look just behind him, going side by side, is that Cedric 2 cars back from him, or am I looking at the wrong black and red? No, it's the 33 car, isn't it? Yeah. Although it's not far off. That was why I was there confused, is that you look, that means that he's nearly a lap behind these guys. That really has screwed him over, hasn't it, somewhat? What a real shame for Kenny. He was looking really good there, and it has compromised him quite dramatically.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of damage limitation now for our Kenny. Thank you, everybody, by the way, for continuing to watch the stream. Thank you for popping along. It seems like there was some sort of connection issue with Restream, which is why it's created a new video altogether. And the bit rate is poor. I'm really not sure why it's doing that, I'm afraid. But thank you for sticking with us. I do realise it is bearable. It's just the frame rate isn't the best. But we're only just over halfway through this race at the moment. We have got some cars, I think. Some of the cars in front are going past the pace car. Yeah, they're gaining a lap back. That is the 260-85 from Bauman's, as Chris rightly pointed out. And another track velocity racing machine makes his way round to try and join onto the back. But Aaron Smith is your race leader then. And Kenny Mitchell, he's also been released to go around. He's what is known as the lucky dog. But he's got to get around there quickly, Chris, because we're about to go under green again.
They'll be right up to speed, won't they, by the time they get round. And Brian Krause has snuck his way up into 6th place. Look at that. Fair play. That's worked out for him, hasn't he? He's done a great job there. Yeah,
good stuff by Brian. He's always been a good strategist in these things. But for lap 79 then, here at Iowa, we are away, and Aaron Smith has had Alex off there. Mikey Doble's gone with him. Now Redford goes back down to the inside to try and make sure that he does not allow Montgomery to go through. He's been a bit of a dark horse in the middle there. He's definitely been sort of sneaking under the radar, as I like to say. Montgomery, although, to be fair, it's not really a stealthy livery, the bright pink of the JJ Racing Machine, is it? But it's working for him. It's working.
It is. It does look good. And he and Adrian Burks have been basically going at it for most of this race, haven't they? Just in the background there as well. Yeah, I was just about to say, James Harvey, Student Motorsport, having a great lunge there on the 44 car of Freisenner. And Oh, it hasn't worked, but Freienzen has now just sort of clobbered the wall a little bit there. But I think Harvey sort of lifted off a little bit in sympathy. And momentarily, Willis in 85, what are you talking about, Willis? He's trying to come on the inside there and have a crack. Ask your grandparents, Chaz. That's
I know that one. I know that one. I at least know that one. Is Redford on?
Look at this. It is Redford. Now that means that he's actually lost out momentarily to Montgomery, but he's trying to come back at him as they're still side by side. Goodness me, Adrian Burks has got the grandstand seat for these two going at it. And it does mean that Montgomery has moved himself up into 4th, and it's then the trio ahead of him. So this is an almighty gaggle for, what's that, the top 7 places, possibly even 8 places at least. In fact, no, because Willis was right with them as well. Goodness me, this safety car has worked wonders for this one. There's a good run in there from Adrian Burks, but he just had to step off as he's trying to find a way. He's looking towards the inside.
Oh, no.
Contact.
Yeah, and that is
Redford's gone.
That's going to bring out a yellow again. Oh, as Werrell just avoids it. Oh, Ivan Bauman's. Oh, there was nearly expletives there, everybody. I won't lie to you. Let's just have another look at it then. So, Redford's on the high line. You know what? I know that Adrian's the guy that's gone down the inside there and almost, well, you could say caused that, but at the same time, if you look at the cars in front, if we go in slow-mo here, and you look at the cars in front, like look at Montgomery and look at Cedric. I know Montgomery's in the wall, but look at where they're turning in compared to where Redford's turning in. I think Burks just expected him to be on the same line as them, and he's just turned in a little bit earlier, and it's the tiniest of taps that puts him around, which is a real shame, and we are going to do what you probably thought wouldn't be a great idea. Close your eyes, because here comes Ivan Bauman's, everybody. I'll tell you what, while we've got a yellow, you can have fun with these things while this is going on. We'll see it from Ivan Bauman's point of view on the dashboard then of the Track Velocity Racing Machine. He's actually got the 33 just sideways in front of him there, Hans Blankart. The yellow is out, you can see the flashing lights. He slowed it down, he's thinking, oh, hey, up. Whoa.
Well, because he couldn't go any lower, could he? Because of the 33 car on the inside of it.
Yeah, that would have been a very, very scary one indeed for him. Now, just in front of them was James Montgomery, and we'll have a quick look back from James Montgomery's rear camera. Not the best cameras in the world on these things, but you can see he's against the wall. Redford it's the tiniest of touches, and Burks somehow manages to carry on with that little tap.
And I tell you what, yeah, piecing together even what you were saying earlier is that Redford did go from sort of high drop down into probably the middle lane there, and the reason being is because of the fact that Montgomery had just made contact with the wall. That would have scrubbed off some speed from him there. Look at the closing speed, is that Redford's suddenly gone, well, I can't sit here because the car's slower in front of me, so he's gone towards lane 2, not realising that Adrian Burks has already got himself teed up to make that move. So it was a very unfortunate mix of circumstances there.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of racing incidents where a lot of different factors go into it. It's not just one guy driving into the other. But hopefully they can both... Well, we know that obviously Adrian Burks has continued, but he'll have a little bit of damage on the car from that. We're probably not going to see anyone pit at this point. Dave Carr-Smith is in the pit lane, maybe just trying to get himself synchronised with everybody else's strategies. Who's the latest to have pitted then? Although Freienzener came in on lap 84. Van Glebeek and Redford and Jack Mace and Peter Bennett as well for Burton Kligerman Esports has also been on lap 84. He's the highest placed of those that have pitted very recently. The rest of them pitted about 10 laps ago. It's painful creeping around at this sort of speed. But these guys will crack on as best they can. Aaron Smith now just admiring the Mustang pace car. Just keep your eye on the lights on that one. And they are still on, so we have at least one more lap behind the safety car then. After this one, don't forget when the lights go out on the pace car, that means it is the final time round before we go green again. But Aaron Smith still leading this race then. Mikey Doble up to second, Alex Sedgwick in third place. Again, apologies for the frame rate issues on the stream, everybody. I can see that the quality of it's fine. It's just having it in 60 frames a second. It just doesn't seem to be having it at the moment. We are trying to get it sorted. I'm trying to. Please do bear in mind, I'm trying to broadcast, do all the cameras, click on what car we're looking at, do all the overlay, and commentate, and try and sort the connection out at the same time without killing the stream. So I'm certainly working hard here to try and get this sorted for you guys. We want to make sure it looks as good as possible for everybody. We do hope you are enjoying your evening, and obviously enjoying this race. Now, again, it's that time to keep an eye on the pace car. I think some of the guys behind, especially Mikey Doble, know that this will be the last one. And yes, indeed, the lights are out on the pace car, and these guys will go 2 by 2 once again. And we saw a great restart last time out by Aaron Smith, didn't we, at this point, Chris? Do you think he can do that again?
He certainly is chomping at the bit, isn't he? I thought he was trying to sort of come alongside the safety car and tell him to hurry up, to be honest, wasn't he, a minute ago? Like you said, is that creeping around far too slow, and Aaron's getting frustrated. He wants to get going, but I still say the one that's been looking incredibly dangerous on the prowl is Mikey Doble. Now, what are we going to see from him? They're not on the absolutely pristine rubber this time round, though, are they? But I don't know. We know that Sedgwick on that second row, he's good at this. Montgomery's having a whale of a time this race as well, but Burks and Krause have been sort of just prowling their way through as I just love that safety car pull-off. I'm glad you warned me about that, by the way.
Yeah, it's a bit of an exaggerated turn. As Sedgwick then makes an exaggerated run into turn 1 down the inside of Mikey Doble on the restart. Aaron Smith got another nice one. We've got Willis just on the outside there of Kenny Mitchell, who's managed to work his way back inside the top 10. They're side by side. Now this looks fantastic, doesn't it, as the night lighting is in full effect now. The sun has completely set and these guys are on it for night time. Let's have a look how it looks on board as well, with Ben Willis on the outside lane. Fair Play Racing powered by Drake has to back off slightly, and you can see Brian Crowell's working hard down the inside there as well. We can show you guys how many pit stops the guys have had on the left. It does get a little bit ugly though. You can see that Jason Glenn's actually had 4 stops. Some of them, Blancart, Bennyworth and Bauman's, that well-known firm of solicitors, as David Addison would say, have only had 1 stop each at the moment, which is bonkers.
Yeah, that is bizarre, and equally the fact that Jason Glenn's had 4 stops, considering that he didn't stop on that first caution, did we? And we sort of said, okay, he's trying to roll a very different dice here. Well, that hasn't worked. I don't know whether he's maybe been involved in something off camera, but it hasn't worked for him very well at all. Oh, and Sedgwick's just been sort of ruffled out wide there. That's enabling Doble to go up the inside. But as we said earlier, you've got to be so patient, haven't you, in the fact, and sort of not lose sleep of being passed, because the next corner you could have it back again.
Yeah, definitely can. It's a very unwritten book. I want to apologise to Matthew Turner in the YouTube chat. I've just found out that you can do this actually. You can say what lap people pitted. So there's something very interesting that we can utilise going forward, because good old Chaz here, who pretends to be the wizard of the SDK overlays, doesn't seem to know what he's doing. So apologies, Matthew, but there you go. There's your information, and I hope that we can use that. We won't have it up all the time, but obviously when we do have a green flag run starting again, we'll be able to show you guys who pitted recently and who did not, and you can also see now the difference in the tyres. So Mark Redford, who we look at here, pitted on lap 84, Jack Mace in front of him on lap 85, and then Willis was lap 74, so he's got 11 laps of wear on those tyres in comparison to the two of them. So this is the thing, I mean, 11 laps in a 150 lap race might not sound that much, but there's a bit of a cliff that they go off, isn't there, Chris?
Well, certainly looked like it earlier, didn't it? Goodness me, it really did. As these guys are desperately trying to get themselves going 3 wide. The recovering 31 car of Redford after the spin earlier is trying to get up the inside of Willis, I think that is, isn't it? And Jack Mace just ahead of them, who's now trying to get back onto terms with Bennett in that black car with the big purple and turquoise R on that car that sort of stands that one out. I don't think he's got a number on that one, has he?
I think
the R helps us know it is.
I think he has. I think he's got a custom number, but it's baked into the paint, so it just looks like it's solid black. It's all the numbers solid black as well. Number 87 somewhere in there, but yeah, it does look a bit Knight Rider, isn't it?
It is. And he's under massive pressure from the recovering, not recovering, sorry, that's Jack Mace just behind him. The recovering car is just behind the green and white 31 car of Redford. He's got himself into 11th at the moment. But yeah, you were just picking up on another car you mentioned a second ago, Kenny Mitchell, number 4, up into 6th place now. And was looking pretty racy trying to catch the top 5 there, but his tyres are, what's that, probably about a good 10 laps older than the cars ahead of him with the, I don't know whether it was enforced or sort of an attempted strategic move that saw him pit under green. And at the moment, it doesn't seem to be compromising him too much.
Yeah, he's, to be honest, some of them, when you put them on the fresh tyres, they don't seem to make as much progress as the others. And to be honest, I've always said this about iRacing, and the beauty of sim racing is that you can go from a car that really doesn't handle very well and get in one that does, or you can go vice versa and get out of something like an LMP1 car, which is like a corners like a housefly, and then go in something like this. As we've had a yellow flag out for some reason. Is Jason Glenn off? I know he's just gone low to avoid something. I wonder what's caused the yellow flag. Let's have a look. Oh, it is Jason Glenn side by side with Marcel Freinzena and Ben Bennyworth. 3 wide into 3 and 4. Oh, I can hear contact in front. Oh, and that's Carr Smith, Naya, and number 17 of Stefan McCready. And that brought out... You see what I said about earlier when it can be very sensitive to what brings out a yellow? This.
Yeah, with the 2 that there was, they were big spins and on the infield, and yeah, that one. I guess it's because there was cars sideways on the middle of the track rather than on the infield.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, that. I do want to have a quick look back and see if we can... I think Naya goes down the inside, but on McCready just gets some grip out of nowhere, and unfortunately the gap just closes. Carr Smith then gives him a little bit of a hip and shoulder as he goes through, and that is how sensitive the yellow flags can be sometimes here in iRacing. But we've done 100 laps now, Chris, and that, as always here in the Vertex Stock Car Cup, has flown by, hasn't it?
It certainly has. 2/3 race distance completed. Talking of flying past, someone was certainly flying past there.
Bennyworth.
Ben Bennyworth, yeah.
Down he goes.
He's
Ben
going for it.
Recently competed, like I said earlier, in the British Boring Car Championships Christmas Beach Party in what looked like a gift-wrapped Volkswagen Jetta, and he had a very, very tough time of it, and there was plenty of contact, plenty of mayhem. We did a dirt oval race, a normal concrete oval race, a rallycross race meeting, and a very, very short road course all in one night. He seemed to enjoy himself, though. He cracked on with it and still fought all the way to the end. There wasn't much of the Jetta left by the end of the night, and there wasn't much of any of them left, as 2 of the Fair Play Racing cars, or the only 2 Fair Play Racing cars, jump into the pits. And a few others as well. We've got Hans Blankart, Dave Carr Smith obviously there, Ivan Bauman's, Ben Bennyworth himself actually has jumped in after gaining a lap back. But some of these guys still not pitting at the front here, Chris. They're determined to eke it out, aren't they?
Well, and it's intriguing when you consider that we're talking, tyres. I think we're sort of probably looking at around the sort of 50 to 60 mark for those, but they don't, allegedly they weren't going to drop off the cliff. Fuel is about 65 laps, so you'd think that they could come in now safely and that would see them to the end. Therefore, does that mean that they're either thinking that they can get to the end now anyway, which feels too long, or they're gambling on another caution?
Yeah.
Well, again, though, it's the heavy hitters that are staying out. They know better than we do, so they've got to know what's going on. This, to me, suggests that they are going to go to the end now, unless there is a caution.
I think they will have to come in, because if Aaron Smith pitted on lap 74. And I think the pit window is about 55 to 65, we were told, and he'd have to do nearly 80 laps to make it last. I don't think the fuel would last that long. If it does, then he could try it, but the tyres at that point, you'll be talking, even round here, nearly 3 seconds a lap slower.
Which then comes back to the original point of going, I'm surprised they're not coming in, because they could come in now, and tyres and fuel would last to the end.
Yeah, that's very true. It's such a tough one to call from up here as well, isn't it? Because we don't know exactly how the tyres are behaving and what they've got fuel-wise. They're all still going around again. I'll keep an eye and see whether anybody jumps in, but no, it seems not. We'll go on board with Aaron Smith and see if he's doing any fuel saving. He is. Well, there you go. There's the perfect time to jump on board. The clutch dips in. No revs whatsoever. The car is literally just rolling via gravity down here. That's why he's staying down low, because the car doesn't need to gain or lose any momentum, really. It's just coasting around. He's barely using any revs. He'll probably be in 4th gear as well doing this. If we go on board, it may not show his name properly, but yeah, he's sat in 4th gear doing this. So even when he's actually moving the car under its own power and not dipping the clutch in, he's only in 4th. So it is fuel saving at this point. I think these guys are looking to go as long as possible. You're right, Chris.
Well, I'm trying to think now. Wasn't it at Road America where they actually were able to go further on the fuel than they were expecting?
I think that was... yeah, you're right. I think it was Road America.
Yeah, I wasn't with you for the first one, and it just rings a bell that they were sort of expecting. And although several of them did suddenly coast it over the line out of fuel, I think that they're risking it for a biscuit.
They are indeed, and Aaron Smith has gone after that biscuit. Mikey Doble gets past Alex Cedric. Adrian Burks is back in the picture now as well. Montgomery's in there. Get out of the way, sunshine. James Harvey and Kenny Mitchell side by side in the middle too. They're trying to slot in. Then you've got Peter Bennett as well. He's having a good run, actually. He's gained 9 places in this race. Started 17th on the grid. He's up to 8th position now. So he's having a good old run here, is Mr. Bennett himself. He's a good guy, very funny lad. This is Jack Mace and Jason Glenn just behind him with Van Glabeek in there as well. Down the inside goes Jason. Well, let's have a look now and see when people pitted. Lap 100 for Ben Bennyworth, 99 for McCready and Blancart, 98 for Carr Smith and Bowmans as well. So some of the guys making their way through, such as Willis. There he is, and then number 85. Have pitted a little bit later, but it's not going to make the difference straight away. They need to get the tyres up to temperature and get them working. Now, someone else that's going to be working is Alex Cedric, because Mikey Doble, he's got it all a little bit wrapped up here with Alex, and if he does keep battling like this, we know it, don't we, that Aaron Smith is going to go and run away and make it 3 for 3 this season.
Absolutely. I mean, he is the past master, and you know what will happen. We'll interview him and he'll be go, yeah, it was fine. Everything. Oh, he's just so chilled out. Now look at that, the number 4 car there of Kelly Mitchell sat there in 6th place, but with James Harvey Student Motorsport number 40 car all over the back of him. Now that one's the car that intrigues me, because he pitted, 8 laps earlier than the 5 cars ahead of him and the one just behind him, James Harvey. So that I cannot see. Surely he's not going to be able to go to the end. He's going to have to. He's got to be banking on another caution here. He's got himself sat at the table to be involved in this fun, but he's got to be banking on there being another caution, which is not out of the question. You know, we've seen it there. He's diving up the inside there of Montgomery. That number 14 car, goodness me, Montgomery came down low just at the point that Kenny Mitchell was just washing out, but somehow they managed to miss each other. Adrian Burks is just ahead of them, but again, here comes Kenny Mitchell. Goodness me, these guys are getting close. They look a bit squirrely, don't they?
Yeah, Kenny went in a little bit hot there, and Montgomery had to take evasive action and get out of the way. Now James Harvey's taking advantage. He says, thank you very much, Kenny. You've opened that door for me. Montgomery's going to now go for the cutback. Oh, James Harvey went up wide there, nearly hit the wall. Looked like he was going to come back down very hard, but he didn't. And Montgomery gets the position back, albeit temporarily, because Harvey's going to get the run around the outside. As Chris says, do-si-do your partner indeed here. This is such great dancing together, isn't it? Round 1 and 2, and then into 3 and 4. It's a slight bit tighter in the mid part of the corner here. It's not a perfectly symmetrical oval, this. It's a wonderful circuit. I really have fallen in love with Iowa. But this is great stuff side by side again.
It really is. I mean, these guys, I can imagine they're going to be like sweating ollies in their sims at the moment. Look at that, 31 Redford's come into play as well. Remember, he was involved in this contact. That's going to be the caution. Round goes Montgomery. Just suddenly went out wide, and unfortunately for him is that the number 40 car was just on the outside of him, and James Harvey wasn't going to have anywhere to go. And I think that's the way it worked. So, oh yeah, he's just washed out. James Harvey's there.
Yeah.
Caught the rear. And that's really unfortunate there. I mean, some might turn around and say, could James Harvey have slowed a little bit more? But I can't see how he's to blame for that one.
No, indeed, it was a bit unfortunate. Ivan Bauman's had a bit of a Code Brown moment here in the track velocity racing machine. You've got Mason Freinzane very close together there, just in front. There is the contact. There's a bit of smoke. I'll tell you what, Ivan doesn't really slow down for the incident until the last second there. And what a save indeed. But yeah,
that's the second time he's been close, isn't it?
It is. We've got now. Aaron Smith had me off there because it said he was coming in the pits because he was that low down. Mark Redford is
he played dummy there, didn't he?
He did indeed. Mark Redford, the highest placed driver of those that is pitting currently. James Harvey and Pete Bennett in there as well. Pete into his box. I think he might have overdone that slightly. No, he's got it in. It was a bit of an aggressive turn in, but gets it sorted. There is Mark Redford in the Nest in the Woods machine, the Turn 4 Motorsports car. And there goes Marcel Freinzane going through. Freinzane, a very short pit stop, 4.5 seconds. Redford, 14.7. So I think Freinzane only taking either 2 tyres or no tyres at all. And maybe just a splash of fuel there, but Freinzane already on the back of the train. He's going to be an interesting one to watch, because while we can sit here and say, oh, this guy pitted later, or this guy's the most recent one to pit, it doesn't always mean they've taken tyres now, so there's an extra little bit to consider for us too.
True, yeah, true. I mean, because it wasn't really made particularly clear, because I don't think it's fully understood with the changing conditions how the tyres are going to behave. I don't think that this circuit is excessively tough on the tyres. There is one line is probably a bit calmer on the tyres than the other, but the general consensus, you don't need to conserve them as we've seen with some of the other circuits. But fuel was sort of felt to be around the 65 lap, so it's an intriguing one. I don't know. I mean, look at Kenny Mitchell up there in 4th place in the number 4 car. He pitted, 8 laps earlier than the 3 cars ahead of him. Jason Glenn in 5th now in that 55 car. He pitted 12 laps later than the top 3 cars. I mean, it's intriguing. I've always said it's the fastest game of chess, mate.
Yeah, it's a very fast-paced game of chess, isn't it? But good recovery by Jason Glenn to be right up there, to be honest. He's now in touching distance of the other ones. Ben Bennyworth, who we were looking at a moment ago, has gained 11 places in this race so far. He's actually the biggest mover in the field. We'll just show you there. Not that it's easy to read, but he has gained 11. It does sort of blend into his name a bit. We've got 6 places gained for Peter Bennett, 5 places gained for the likes of McCready, Bowmans, and of course Van Glabeek's gained 4. Aaron Smith obviously started 6th on the grid, didn't he? And we usually see him qualify on pole and then run away, but he's managed to work his way up through the order here at the sharp end and get into the lead.
I'm just suddenly looking, where's the gaffers down in 18th?
Yeah, I think he just came.
He's pitted, hasn't he?
Although it says he pitted on lap
He's
74.
Rolled dice. Oh, really?
Yeah.
We've missed that then.
Yeah, what's happened here?
Yeah, he's still only done 2.
Okay, so what's this? Bear with it. It says that Alex has... He's had something...
He needed a wee, didn't he?
Yeah, something's gone very, very wrong there. He's actually come back up through the order as well. So he's been given it back, basically, by iRacing. It said, go back, because that's where your position is.
Oh, yeah, so he is back up there.
He must have needed a wee, yeah. He must have known he'd get it. He must have known he'd get it back, so he's just thought, "Oh, stuff it. Time for
either that,
time
or
for
the cork was stuck in the bottle of port. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, most probably.
It's Christmas, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. It's. I mean, I don't drink, but trust me, I have been.
Me neither. Your Honour.
Well, the lights are out of the pace car. Lap 117 of this race is about to get underway. I think this is our 4th caution that we've had. I think so. But anyway,
yeah.
Lap 117 is about to get underway. Aaron Smith, another beautiful restart. Mikey Doble now on the inside of Alex Sedgwick. How many times have we seen those two swap over? Adrian Burks tries to look down the inside. Kenny Mitchell's on the inside of him. So he's got nowhere to go. That's close stuff there. Jason Glenn in the background as well. Watch out for him. It's nice and side by side in the middle. Brian Zahner on the inside of Redford with Bennyworth in front. And then you've got Peter Bennett with James Harvey on the outside line as well. Kenny Mitchell and Adrian Burke, so still side by side inside the top 5. And look at that from Cedric. He is on the move again, Chris.
That was a determined move, that one, wasn't it? He just suddenly went from the high line down below, and I think he nearly got caught out by Mikey Doble as they now wash each other out wide up towards the high line there. Thankfully, only towards the high line, not the wall. Side by side behind as well. Adrian Burks has got the outside line in that 72 car with Kenny Mitchell. Remember, those two, I'm right in remembering this, those two actually started on the front row together. And Kenny Mitchell dives up the inside, up into 4th place, goes to number 4. But look at that. Is he going to try and take advantage of the fact that Alex Cedric was being muscled out? Mikey Doble cleanly up into 2nd place. But look at the switcheroo. Goes from the high line to the low line. He was talking about that overlap, but now it's getting a bit serious, isn't it? The sleeves are rolled up. Goodness me. Kenny Mitchell compromised there by the move that happened ahead of him. That means Adrian Burks now moves round and is trying to go the high line round the pair that are fighting ahead of them. Look at what's going on behind. This is just darned if you do, darned if you don't.
It really is. You can't take too much of a chance here or do anything over the top, because you're just going to get swallowed up by this pack behind. This is Mark Redford now trying to go 2 for 1 down the inside of Kenny Mitchell and Adrian Burks. Will Adrian know that Kenny's going to go wide? He doesn't. There's contact and Burks is in the wall. We're not going to get a yellow for that, unfortunately for Adrian, but I was just thinking then, is he going to know that they're 3 wide? Is he still going to turn in where he normally does? Hits the back of him. We've got a car around in front. Mark Redford sideways. Jason Glenn's been hit by Brian Zahner and Harvey's around, and we're going to have another yellow.
Oh. I mean, you could see that coming, couldn't you? To be honest with you, that looked absolutely frantic, to say the least. The car that's going to be most frustrated by all of that? Aaron Smith at the front. He's managed to break away, hasn't he?
Yeah, he did. Did indeed. Let's have a quick look at what happened. Adrian Burks and... well, there's all the mayhem in the middle. Adrian misses that bit. So,
yeah,
Mark Redford...
his bit had already happened, hasn't it?
Yeah, Mark Redford gets the wonderful run down the inside, but Adrian, look, he goes to turn in where he normally is. Mitchell's gone in a little bit hot, so Adrian then hits the wall. And then, as it all happens behind, we'll go on the Blimpy boy, so we'll get a nice big view of this here. Just in front, Redford's been tagged. Oh, Redford's been tagged by Bennett. Freinziner. Oh, actually,
and Harvey got hit.
Yeah, it's Glenn
by
and
Willis, I think.
Yeah, I think Glenn and Harvey were the two that really slowed down for it. They're the ones that picked up that it was going on. So let's keep an eye on Redford. So this was just the lap before it, before the run down the start-finish straight. Kenny Mitchell, Mikey Doble, Adrian Burks and David Van Glebeek have all gone in the pits. So Redford has this mega run down the inside, and what a great bit of movement that was, just to make sure he had it secured down on the low line. Those two make contact up high. Burks goes in the wall, and then Peter Bennett gets a mega run out of there. He goes down the inside now into 3 and 4. Does he leave it a bit late? He does go down the inside. It's a similar incident to what he had happened before. Jason Glenn slows down, gets hit by Brian Zahner. Harvey slows down and gets hit by Willis, and then the rest of them just managed to avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to happen. There was just too many all bunched together there. I mean, that is the nature of these short ovals, or, you know, especially this is a tri-oval, as you said, there's no real rest, is that it's going to happen. We've seen them suddenly fanning out 3-4 wide, and there's only so much you can do. Mark Wells into the pits as well. Now, the most intriguing one for me here, actually, I'll make that 2, but the one that really jumped out at me is the fact that Mikey Doble has pitted, but Aaron Smith and Alex Wick haven't. Now, Mikey Doble was actually in sort of challenging for the lead, wasn't he? And yet he's chosen to make his way into the pits. I don't know. I wonder whether Aaron Smith and Alex even dummied towards the pits. Yeah,
maybe. They might have had him there. Mark Werrell's had an incident as well, actually, at the back of all of this. Got Ivan Bauman's down the inside. Oh, Ivan's gone in again.
Oh, that's a bit wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, he sort of made...
trade with that one.
Yeah, it was like Ivan moves over a little bit late, but Mark... So Ivan's moved over, Mark goes to defend it, and then Ivan's just a little bit hot on the brakes. I think that the two of them both committed to one line there, and unfortunately they both still went for the same bit of real estate, and it ended up in an incident. But
now, also the ones that pitted further back there, although Brian Krause is now making his way through this field for one reason or another, so I wonder whether there was a glitch out there as well that suddenly enabled him to come back through this field. But Kenny Mitchell has now pitted, and that was one that I expected to see earlier. So he and Mikey Doble and Adrian Burks, they are further back than you'd expect them to be. Yeah, those three there, where does that put them? That's got them 15th, 16th and 17th respectively. But Aaron Smith and Alex Sedgwick at the front chose not to stop.
And the same with Peter Bennett, who did pit later than them, but yeah, he's made it work actually and gone up into third place. He had a very, very tough run at the start of the season. He was a bit overwhelmed by it, by the look of it, but he's done a great job here. I mean, he started 17th. He's the biggest mover in the field now, into third. I imagine he's streaming this, so his stream will be absolutely loving it. But he's got Mark Redford in front, and he's got the two Track Velocity racing cars of Jason Glenn and Brian Krause behind him. Then Freinzehner, and then Mace.
Probably can't believe this when you consider he's been involved in both his own incidents and other people's, and sort of like had a feeling more like he's been in a pinball machine than anything else for most of this race, bless him. But he's up there on the second row for this restart.
Yeah, he's had a bit of a belter, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So,
it goes to show you have to be patient and not, lose your cool.
Yeah, definitely. And Mark's good at that. He is one of the admins that runs the My Turn Racing Sunday Night Truck Series that I've been broadcasting, and he's been doing the same. Brian Krause, actually. I think Brian might have learned off Alex here. He might have thought, oh, I've got time to go for a wee, have I? Brian's apparently stopped on track. Yeah, here you go, look. He's going to do the same. He's like, hang on, I need to go do something, boys. Back in a minute. And he just stops at the side. That's how you do it. Anyway, another restart. 23 laps to go as they start this one. Another beauty by Aaron Smith. Peter Bennett's now down the inside of Alex Sedgwick. Redford in there as well. Let's see what Pete can do. Can Redford hang it out around the outside? Redford and Peter Bennett both pitted on the same lap 112. It was lap 74 for our two front runners. Redford now gets the run around the outside. Aaron Smith wants to run away with this. Look at Jason Glenn. Hello, sunshine. Sends it up the inside. Beautiful stuff by Jason Glenn. That's how you get it done without contact, boys. Don't forget, he only pitted on lap 86 as well, though, Chris. So those tyres are absolutely shattered in comparison, but he's making them work, isn't he?
He is. He pitted something like 4 times, bizarrely. But yeah, if it was still a fair old chunk away, and he did send that up the inside brilliantly there. He's taking care of Brian Krause. He's now still trying to get past Bennett, but I think it's showing that he has made it, but it's still together. Look at these guys still. You've got some key runners here trying to pick their way through from further back than they would expect to be.
Yeah, definitely. Kenny Mitchell now trying to go down the inside of David Van Glebeek, and also James Harvey. Then Mikey Doble's just in the background there, the white and blue machine. Kenny Mitchell's picking them off bit by bit. Adrian Burks hasn't quite made the same progress, but when there's all these battles going on in front, you've got to just be on it. And James Harvey's on it there. He sees he sees Kenny Mitchell making all this progress and thinks, right, I'm going to follow you there. Kenny Mitchell's now on the inside of two of them. What's Freinzehner going to do on that outside line? Because Willis is stuck in the middle. Freinzehner carries the pace. Doble's on the inside. He's making those tyres work hard as well. Willis has blocked him off now. And then Van Glebeek's looking back down the inside of him as they go together towards 3 and 4. Doble covers it off. That was a bit of a similar move that we saw with Werrell and Bowmans a moment ago. But they've managed to collect that up, and Doble is really flying here, isn't he?
He is. You just sort of think, though, that it's just too much to do. He probably, I can only assume he had no choice. The tyres must have been dead. And he went, I've got no choice. I've got to come in. And he's got a hope that he's able to then just be up to enough speed compared to the others that in these dying moments he can just pick through like a hot knife through butter. But the problem is, I think it's such a short, tight circuit that you don't get the level advantage that you might get on a super speedway.
No, you really don't. It's definitely a lot more hard work around a track like this than it would be at somewhere like Talladega or Daytona, where you're just flat out constantly. You have to really hit your marks with your braking points and you turn in and everything, and just manage the pace mid-corner, get on the throttle at the right time, don't overheat the rears, don't spin them up. There's so much more work to be done here as they all scrape along the wall. That was Peter Bennett, and now Jason Glenn's going to pick him off. Who else can go through? Jack Mace is right behind him. He's nearly digging the splitter in underneath the Chevrolet there, Peter Bennett, although he's got a good run out of there. Oh, there's contact with Glenn, and there's also contact with Kenny Mitchell. And who was that? That's Montgomery in there. He's gone in a little bit hot. Oh, this is close stuff. This is very, very feisty indeed. But these guys know that they need to push hard. They need to work hard to try and get to Smith. Redford's up into second, by the way. He's past Sedgwick, so they know that they need to work forwards and just run for it, don't they? They can't just hang about and be patient now. The patience has gone out the window.
But the irony is, I was looking at this thinking this is exactly what Smith and Sedgwick need to happen, because they've got to be on the edge of out of control now with their tyres on the ragged edge. And these guys fighting this hard. We've got the contact there. Oh, my goodness. And that was Montgomery. And he's nearly collected Harvey. And guess what? Bauman's just about missed someone again. He's had a lot of close moments, hasn't he? But are we going to see a pit stop now from the lead too? Or actually first and third. But they weren't helping themselves by fighting so much, these guys, were they?
No, indeed. And you know what? That was... James Harvey is the one that got collected.
Yeah.
That was just very sideways from James Montgomery, unfortunately. You'll see it just breaks away as he gets on the power. Now it's breaking away very sideways. Doesn't even touch Mikey Doble. I don't know how, but then that touch off the side of Van Glabeek is all that put him around, and there's the big hit. And again,
and there goes Bauman, just missing.
That was sketchy from Bauman, wasn't it? That's scary. Let's go on the front right suspension of Mikey Doble. We're going to probably see, inside. There's the never mind. That doesn't help anyone. That doesn't help anybody, does it? There from Mikey Doble. We'll go on. Maybe a chopper cam will suffice on this one. If we just slow it down a second, you'll see Montgomery breaks free there. And somehow the two of them don't. He doesn't even touch him, I don't think. They're very close. And then it just, as he saves it,
stop him.
I'm sure he just overcorrects it. He just overcorrects it the other way.
Because I felt it when we were on board, and you see that it's nothing to do with Doble. Doble was in a straight line, and it was sort of like just caught the front and then bounced between the two cars. If you sort of like wait very, very late, he catches him. Still turning, bounce off there and bounce back towards 16 with the overcorrect, and he just bounced between the two cars. Really unfortunate.
He's lucky that Van Glabeek didn't get the back of Mikey Doble as well. We'll look back, even though the bumper covers half of the car anyway. Look at that. Oh, that's such a moment, isn't it? That's scary, scary stuff between these boys. Very scary indeed. But we're back under yellow once again at this point, and it's nice and calm and quiet around here. Peter Bennett, though, he's still flying up there. 13 places.
Sedgwick pitted now. Cedric pitted.
Yes. He wants a big run to the end. He wants to push hard, doesn't he? Aaron Smith pitted nearly 70 laps ago. I don't know.
Watching these guys, where we had Doble and people like that were trying to pick their way through, it's too tight, it's too small to get yourself able to pick your way through as you normally would. So I'm not sure if this is going to work out for Cedric. I reckon that Aaron Smith sold him a dummy.
We'll have to have a look. Let's have a look. See if we can find it. We've got at least another lap yet. Where is Mr. Cedric going in the pits? Can't find him. Here we go. There's so many things to look through here. Here we go then. Let's see. Does Aaron Smith... Oh no, that's entered the pits, not the pit lane. Here is the pit lane. Doesn't say Aaron Smith entered it though, so I'm not sure he's... I think Alex has just decided to just play something different here. Redford's going down a little bit, but no. Jason Glenn goes in, and Alex goes right. I'm in as well.
His own call, wasn't it? Yeah, definitely his own call. Now, we of course don't know whether that was the tyres screaming blue murder or whether the fuel was just getting that little bit too low. But, Aaron Smith cannot possibly be at the quickest in that car going to the end. And are we going to have to see him lift and coast in the closing stages?
Yeah, I think Mark Redford's definitely one to count in for a win here in the Turn 4 Motorsport Toyota Camry.
Jack Mace in third. How good is that? Fair play, mate.
Yeah, 9 places gained for Jack Mace so far. He started in 12th position, and he's now up into 3rd. Peter Bennett, 13 places gained. Brian Crowell's 8 places gained for him. He started down in 13th. Stephen McCready as well, a little bit further back. He's gained 11 places to be up there just outside the top 10 as well. So he's had a good run from right near the back of the grid in the Fair Play Racing machine. So some
well,
very...
up in 12.
Yeah,
impressed with that. Well done, Mark.
Yeah, especially with the contact as well and the incident before. He's hung that out well. He pitted last on lap 124, so later than all of the cars ahead of him. all the guys behind him are the ones that pitted later, and the one directly behind him, of course, is Alex Cedric.
I got a horrible feeling for him that it hasn't worked. It's not going to work out for what he was hoping for, but I don't think he had a choice by that point, by the looks of it, did he?
No, it's just got to be done, hasn't it, at certain points. But lights on the pace car are off, so this will be the final lap before we go green once again. And I'm really not sure who to put my money on, to be honest.
No, I mean, you know, the logic says Aaron Smith, doesn't it? But you kind of sit there going, but surely his tyres are not good enough, and surely he's going to have to coast that one home on the fuel front. No, it doesn't add up, does it?
Not really. I think maybe something to do with the fuel saving behind the pace car earlier, but surely that can't have been enough. But the best way to find out is for Aaron to put his foot down and for us to go racing again. Here we go on to lap 141. Aaron just cracks on with it, and look at that, just behind Kenny Mitchell having to defend already from Mikey Doble. Brian Crowell's on the outside, sorry, on the inside, with Peter Bennett on the outside. And then you've got Adrian Burks in there as well. Look at Cedric coming through. 12th place down the inside of 2 for 1. Thanks very much. He's got James Harvey right in front of him. Oh, Freinzehner and McCready making contact. Freinzehner's pushed out wide there. Manages to survive. Werrell's been swallowed up by Bennyworth and Willis there in the middle. And look at that as well. Down the inside, Kenny Mitchell on Brian Crowell's. And Redford is going after Smith for the lead here, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, that was looking at it, he was looking very, very strong. You picked out how much later he was with the pit stop. Mikey Doble's getting involved. He's trying to get the inside of Brian Crowell's, and then you've got Kenny Mitchell, number 4, just ahead of those two. Peter Bennett, number 87, doing an awesome job in that black car with the big R on the side of it. I still wouldn't know where to put my money, even though we're only 6.5 laps away from the end, for goodness sake. Yeah,
it's very close indeed, but look who sneaked up in here. Alex Cedric now down the inside of Adrian Burks. Jason Glenn in there as well. He's going to go past Brian Crowell's. If you were Mikey Doble right now, you'd be thinking, oh no, it's this guy once again. He sneaks up the inside of Brian Crowell's now. And now he's going to try and set his sights on Mikey Doble if he can get a good run out of here. Peter Bennett making that high line work at the minute. He's getting a good run off all the corners. Look at this now. Chuck it up the inside goes Alex. Uses that grip to his advantage. And there's certainly plenty of it in that Toyota Camry right now. Lap 145 here at Iowa out of 150. No, Adrian Burks has been turned and there's another yellow. Oh, and into McCready, and that's Bennyworth, Montgomery, Willis. Oh, I think Willis has had an incident. Yeah, Willis has come back down. Oh, heck. Oh, heck. Well, we've got to pick this apart somehow. I think Willis got caught up in this, well, completely innocently. So Adrian Burks is absolutely on it.
Oh, someone had already lost ahead of them. Ah, that was the...
Oh, is that a previous incident? Oh, apologies. I've gone back to the previous incident. I clicked yellow flag and then I went to the Oh, heck, there's been a few. So this is Adrian Burks then in front of Jason Glenn. He just comes down that tiny bit and the two of them get welded together. Now Ben Willis is going to arrive on the scene a bit late here. Bennyworth goes in. Willis tries to get out of the way, loses it, and bang! That's Justin Naya that he goes across the front of. That was a bit of a messy one, that, wasn't it? Just shows you, though, tiny bit of contact.
Adrian Burks tried to come down to take the 2 cars ahead of him, didn't he, and not realise that there was somebody already on his shoulder.
Yeah, it's easy to do in these situations when there's so many cars around you. Lights are still on the pace car, obviously. I think we may. I don't think we're quite going to get a green and white checker here. I think we're probably just going to get a 1-lap dash to the end, maybe. We'll have to see. But still...
This is exactly what Aaron Smith needed, though, isn't it? Goodness me.
Yeah, guarantees that people can't overtake him for a little bit. That's perfect news. He's trying to get the 100% win record for this season, and he's on his way to it at the minute. He obviously won the first round of the season, then he won at Road America as well, with an outstanding performance on a road course once again. And now he's leading ahead of Mark Redford, Kenny Mitchell and Jack Mace. Mark Redford's putting in a great performance in this one. So too is Jack Mace. Peter Bennett still up there in the top 6. I feel that the lights on the pace car may go off here. Still no pit stop for Aaron Smith. You can see the blimp up there. Now keep your eyes on those lights on top of the pace car. I know it's a bit hypnotic. Don't fall asleep. But here we go. And no, we've got another 2 laps behind the pace car, it seems. So we have this current lap 148, then lap 149, and I think we're then going to have, it's going to be a green white checker for sure, so it'll probably go over to 151 laps. So more racing than we bargained for.
So Cedric's got himself up into 8th. I can't see he's going to get himself onto the podium, surely not now.
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure.
And that's pure circumstance, isn't it? But Aaron, it's the same as Aaron Smith, I'm sure, is that he's taken a huge risk here, you've got to assume, and it potentially is going to work out for him. That said, is that the flip argument could be is that he's there going, great, now I've got the whole pack just behind me, coming into this final tour when his tyres are destroyed. Is he going to run out of fuel on this last lap? Well, who knows? It's intriguing. But Redford's got to be sat there thinking, here we go. What about Kenny Mitchell, that number 4 car? But he's so involved in a great tussle with the 36 car of Jack Mace that it was kind of allowing those top 2 to sort of pull away a little bit. Mikey Dawes said that he's been strong throughout this entire race. He's still sort of prowling there on the 3rd row, isn't he?
He is, yeah. I think he could be one to watch if it gets a little bit feisty in front. Lights are still on the pace car, so we're going to get another one after this.
Presumably Adrian Burks is out because he's still in the pits now.
Yeah, I think that's probably the end of it, unfortunately, for Adrian. He's been in the pits for... Yeah, he's been in the box for... Although, actually... He's been in the box for 20 seconds. We've had a few cars recently.
So he's come back out then. He was in because I saw that, and he's come back in again then.
We've had some cars in there for a bit longer recently, so we'll keep an eye and see whether he comes out. But there is the field, and the lights are off on the pace car. So this could be it. And I just want to highlight as well, a lot of these guys have said that before... very recently, they hadn't really seen Aaron Smith in any of the practice races that they're doing, so they don't know where he does all of his practicing or where he gets all the pace from. But he just magics it out of thin air by the look of it to the rest of them, so it's wonderful. Really is wonderful to see such great performance from him again. But we've got some good front runners here, and a couple of them with a little bit of advantage in terms of tyre life, but Aaron Smith is the one with the big disadvantage. Do you think he can hold on?
Do you know what? I think he can, because it's a short lap, it's a tight lap, that you're not getting quite the screaming advantage from the fresher tyres. So I think that as long as his fuel's okay, I think he can do it.
I think it all depends on what Mark Redford does on this restart and whether he battles with the guys behind or not. But we're going to find out then. We go on to the final couple of laps here at Iowa, and Aaron Smith has made a dream getaway. Kenny Mitchell goes nowhere. Mikey Doble's on the back of him. Alex Cedric wants a piece of it as well. Aaron Smith bolts off into the distance again. Doesn't need camouflage for people not to see him anymore. He has gone, but keep your eye on the number 9 there. Alex Cedric, the boss man. Jack Mace all over the back of Kenny Mitchell as well. Nearly making contact there. Kenny's having to be very, very careful indeed. But look, Redford is now already back with Smith mid-corner. Look at Cedric round the outside of Mace. He's made that work. He goes a little bit lower. Now, Kenny Mitchell covers it off. Cedric's got to make it work on the middle line now as Jack Mace tries to follow him. Mikey Doble in there as well. This is the white flag in the air, so we have made it. Aaron Smith is going to get there by the look of it, as long as Mark Redford doesn't do something magical here. Cedric is really trying to get that podium spot, but it's 3 out of 3 in the Vertex Stock Car Cup Season 3 for Aaron Smith. What a performance. Mark Redford second, Kenny Mitchell gets third, Cedric only makes it back to fourth. I say only. What a great performance near the end. But wow, oh wow. Brian Crowell secures the top 10. James Harvey gets into 9th. Peter Bennett, what a performance by him in 8th place. But Aaron Smith, well, he's at it again. The fireworks are all going on, and there's fireworks off the back. Look at that from Aaron Smith. Go on, sunshine. What a drive.
That defies logic.
Yeah, pitted on lap 74 and got to lap 151 and won the race. Amazing.
Just baffles me. I mean, it's just incredible. When you consider that Alex was sticking with him and he decided that he had to, cry foul and dive to the pits, that it must have been on the ragged edge.
Yeah, it must have been. It must have been right there. And very, very difficult to control. But Aaron Smith is your race winner once again in the Vertex Stock Car Cup. We then have Mark Redford in second. Great drive from him. Kenny Mitchell holds on to third, just ahead of boss man himself, Alex Sedgwick. And we have Mikey Doble in fifth with Jack Mason sixth. Jason Glenn finishing seventh with Peter Bennett in eighth. Brian Crowell's ninth and James Harvey rounds out the top 10. I think actually they might have swapped round just at the end there, very strangely. David Van Glabeek finishes 11th with Stefan McCready in 12th. Justin Nyer 13th ahead of Ben Bennyworth, with Marcel Freinzena and Ben Willis just behind. Then it was Adrian Burks. Mark Werrell makes it into 18th place, with James Montgomery and Dave Carl Smith a lap down. Ivan Bauman's 2 laps down, and then the guys that didn't make it through to the end: Hans Blankart, Mark Murphy and Lewis Kent. But wow, 150 tours of Iowa certainly opened our eyes, didn't it, Chris? That was very, very lively indeed.
I can imagine we got some very tired drivers after that one. That looked like an absolutely brutal race, to say the least.
Did indeed.
But showed that you've got to be patient, haven't you? It can feel like you've lost it, and then you can get yourself back up through that field. So you've got to just stay cool. You
do. You really do have to just hold on to it and keep your nerve. And I mean, we've seen it time and time again that the man that knows how to keep his nerve is the one that keeps winning these races. Aaron Smith joins us in the box again after another fantastic race victory. Aaron, first off, well done. Second, how did you make that last that long?
I have no idea. I was worried about saving my tires and keeping them together for the last run, but I never got to use my last set, so I was stuck on the same set I had around lap 80 or so, and we were able to hold on to it.
How did the car feel at the end? Was it really going off? Was it a struggle to keep it going where you wanted it to, or did you just know how to manage it and keep it as easy as possible as for yourself?
Really hard to keep the back end from kicking out on exit, because I had to start downshifting on the last 30 or so laps of the race, because it would bog down pretty hard in fourth gear, but we were able to keep the back end under me and held on.
You certainly did that, mate. And what was the fuel situation like? Because Chris and I were sure that it wouldn't make the fuel all the way to the end. We could see that you were fuel saving behind the pace car in the middle of the race. Do you think that's what saved you and made it through to the end?
I'd say so. The math didn't really check out in the beginning of the run, and after we got those strings of cautions, we were able to save enough fuel to make it to the end.
Well, I'm really, really pleased for you that it worked, mate. 100% record so far. You've won every race of the season. Do you think you can go on and win every single one?
Well, I'd like to, but this was the hardest one yet, and I'd imagine it's only going to get harder from here, so we'll see.
We certainly will, mate. Well done again from Chris and I. That was a beautiful performance. Is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to?
Thank the folks at Satellite Racing for their support, and y'all for broadcasting, and the folks at Vertex for putting this series together, everyone for watching. We'll be back next week, or whenever the next race is.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Great to speak to you as always, mate. We'll see you soon. And
thank you.
Have a great new year as well, buddy.
Yeah, y'all too.
Cheers. Like you said, Chris, he's just so cool, isn't he?
He's just amazing. He really is. And he was able to bring to light what we were watching. It was good that we understood that he was saving the fuel, but he really painted the picture of how difficult it was for him in those closing stages, that he was having to drop it down into third gear coming out of the corners, that was then kicking the rear end. And it meant that showboating that he does at the end, he was actually having to do during the closing stages of the race, by the sounds of it. Absolutely brilliant. And, he says it next week, as he corrected, it's in 2 weeks' time, and it's on the Daytona Super Speedway, which is then a completely different challenge again for him, but you still wouldn't bet against him, would you?
No, you definitely wouldn't. And someone that you might have betted against for the start of today before getting I think his best result so far. Jack Mace joins us in the booth. Jack, that was a mega race from you. You just always seem to be up there. How did you find that?
Very entertaining. Thank you for having me on here. Setup was fun and fast, great to race with. Probably could have got a top 5 there at the end if that last caution didn't come out, because that kind of brought everyone back up to us again.
Yeah, it sort of broke the run up at the end of the race, didn't it? But, I mean, you seem to have everything under control there. There was a few moments in it, though, wasn't there, where there was a massive pack of you all together, 3 wide. How was that from your point of view?
It was fun, because half the time I took them 3 wide. so that's kind of my undoing.
Sending it.
Best career finish before this was 6th Daytona. Tied that today, so that's quite good.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. It's all about the progress and the different accolades through each season. I assume, obviously, I mean, we all know that you're all aiming for race wins, but do you think that realistically you could get that top 5 this season or even more?
I thought I was going to get that today, but I think next week Daytona, as long as I don't get wrecked, could definitely get a top 5, top 10 there.
Yeah, Daytona's going to be tough.
Homestead later in the season as well, I have high hopes for.
I was going to say, actually, yeah, because Homestead was one that you've gone well at before. So, in terms of, I mean, everybody that sort of doesn't really respect NASCAR that much or sort of doesn't delve into it that much, they all just think, oh, they're all the ovals are the same, but they've all got their very different characteristics. Homestead seems to be one that you go well at. What is it that you think that works for you there, if there's anything?
I think majority of the fact is the Highline has speed and not a lot of people are comfortable running up there, so I'm able to take advantage of that. And with the new wall proximity model, I'm certainly going to be putting in a lot of practice to put that to work.
Well, we hope it goes well for you, mate. Well done again for this evening. And is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Tortoise Growth Checker Chevrolet Camaro.
Love it. Thank you very much, Jack. Great to speak to you, mate.
Thank
Well
you.
done. And we'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
You too.
Such a great young lad, Jack is, and I believe he's only 14 years old, and he takes on these drivers, you know, that you would have thought have been doing it obviously a lot longer, but he's just got so much confidence.
He takes on the drivers in the driver's briefing. What are you on about?
He does actually, yeah. He does indeed. He likes to talk the talk as well, but tonight he's certainly walked the walk. That was a brilliant, brilliant drive. Someone I do want to get in that was always, again, right up there near the front of the field, ended up getting second overall, very close to the win. Mark Redford joins us. Mark, you had a really good run there for the whole thing, and despite getting nerfed twice, you still made it. How did you do that?
Just kept digging, mate. Just kept digging.
Certainly looked like it. Now, I wanted to ask you specifically. Now, obviously, as you know, I obviously broadcasted your MTR series here at Iowa in the trucks just a matter of a week or so ago, and this circuit seemed like it was similar behaviourally with these cars, but I imagine behind the wheel, was it quite different?
Alex's setup was pretty nice, actually, so it was nice balance. So, yeah, it did run fairly similarly to the trucks. Had to be braking slightly earlier and slightly gentler than with the truck.
Yeah.
Apart from that, the car ran similar lines, I think. I don't know whether I could... I don't know whether it was as quick on the low line as the truck is. I think the truck's slightly better on the low line than this car.
Maybe a little bit more bite down low. But, I mean, second place tonight, did you expect that when you qualified as well as you did? Because we've seen that before on a track like this, you can qualify well and you can very quickly fall back. But it seemed like you were just always in the right place, right time, other than the two little bits of contact.
Yeah, well, I was just hoping to be able to show my form here tonight, which I did. So I'm pleased with that. The contact with Adrian, who put me to the back, that kind of gave me an opportunity to try an alternate strategy. So I popped into the pits and picked up tyres with 40 laps to go, and I think that's what got me to second, really.
Certainly looked like it paid off, mate. And obviously next time round we're at Daytona in the new year. Do you think that's going to be a circuit that'll favour you, or is that more of a place that you're not a fan of?
I love Daytona. I really like it there. However, Daytona is always a bit of a lottery. So if luck runs my way, I will be looking for the win. But we'll see how it goes.
We will indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Mark. Is there anybody that you'd like to give a quick thanks to?
Thanks to the sponsors, Nest in the Woods, and to you, Chaz, for doing such a good job with the coverage, and Alex and the team for putting the league together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. Pleasure as always, and I'll see you soon.
See you.
Right then, Mr. Dawes, I will give you free rein to decide the final one, but it can't be Mark Werrell.
No, we can't grab him. Do you know what? I would. I know it sounds daft that we are just completing the top three, but I do want to grab a word with Kenny Mitchell because he was up and down the order like a yo-yo. Kenny, Chris Dawes here. What an incredible race! Probably as pleased with the third as you are frustrated with the yo-yo up and down through that field.
Yeah, it was it was quite an exciting race for me the way things panned out. I had actually no practice. I missed both practice races this week, so I had no idea the pace of the field and what to expect really. So yeah, I'm glad the way it turned out. I might have been a bit happier if I'd stayed out and managed to get my first pit stop under the yellow rather than having to do a green pit stop, but managed to work back from that, so happy overall.
You were one of the prime examples, Kenny, where I was saying that you have to have a lot of patience on this circuit because it can feel like the whole thing's being taken away from you, involved in someone else's incident, whatever, and you go tumbling down through the field. But as you showed, it's like, no, just stay cool. You are able to pick your way back through again.
Yeah, well, thankfully this type of track suits my driving style, and as everybody knows, there's more than one line here. You can overtake on the low lane or the high lane, so there was loads of options throughout, and I just, thankfully, I rode my luck a couple of times, a couple of close calls, but things panned out in the end, and delighted to get third spot.
It was definitely awesome to watch, and the other one as well, talking about the patience, is you say that you're able to make the moves, but the moves don't happen in an instant either, do they? It could actually be happening over sort of several laps before the move's completed.
Yeah, pass here tends to take at least 2 corners, for me anyway, and it's not always easy. There's a lot of fast guys in here, all running different lines, so you're never sure, the best way to approach it, but yeah, it's a really good track for that sort of racing, so quite enjoyed that tonight.
It was special to watch and an awesome podium place, mate.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Not a problem.
I'm going to use Chaz's line before we let you go. Is there anybody you want to say thanks to?
Just thanks to all my friends and family for the support. I don't know if everyone knows, but we try to raise money for Cancer Research UK, so rather than thank the sponsors, I'd like to give a shout out for our fundraising page, Racing for Luby. We try to raise money for Cancer Research UK, all through the official channels, so if people could have a look at hashtag Racing for Luby and maybe make a donation, that'd be fantastic.
And is that Libby spelled Libby?
It's LOOBY. And it's racing number 4 Luby.
I've put the hashtag on the screen now for you as well.
There we
mate,
go,
so
Brilliant. Thanks for that, guys.
I'll bang that on there for a bit longer as well. Actually, it says it'll only be there for 20 seconds, but we'll put it up for a good minute and a half. But
Okay.
Hashtag Racing for Luby, LOOBY. So make sure you go there, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
indeed.
thanks for that. Yeah.
Not a problem at all, Kenny. Well, very well done today, mate. It was, like Chris said, very, very much fun to watch. And hopefully, when we go to Daytona, we'll see another good result from you.
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks to Alex and the team for putting this together, and for yourselves for doing such a good job on the broadcast. You always make it very entertaining to watch back. So
Thank you,
guys.
Cheers, mate. Have a great New Year as well, Kenny.
You too, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks, Kenny. Cheers, mate. Another point to make, Chaz, is that just saw Lewis Kent's put a comment up saying he was enjoying his side-by-side battles for like 4 laps, and then his screen turned off.
Oh, no.
So that's why he disappeared out. So that explains that sort of mystery that we were surprised when he suddenly checked out, weren't we?
Yeah, it's a real shame that, and I mean, we always say it, and I will always reiterate it just in case people haven't heard us say it on broadcasts before, but when you have a hardware failure like that, within sim racing we attribute it to like a mechanical failure on the car or something like that, because, they don't simulate random mechanical failures because people will always moan about it. But, to have something like that hardware-wise, you do get themes of people having different reliability as well, like with their Wi-Fi having issues or with their wheel or pedals having issues and so on. And it simulates real life very well, so I'm almost glad that doesn't get simulated in the racing itself. But what a night we've had, though. I mean, 150 tours of Iowa, it sounds like a simple process with such a small circuit, but that was a lot of hard work for these boys, wasn't it?
It really was, and I'm loving watching the comments coming in. I won't sort of reveal all of them because it is a chat, but certainly is that the nature of the circuit, putting them so together, is there's some that were feeling it was a bit aggressive, there was some need to be aware when they're sending it, but the nature of the beast in this tight, less than a mile long oval, yes, it's got 3 lines, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's comfortable to go 3, or as they tried a few times, 4 wide. And so for a lot of them, you could see that it was always going to feel a bit fraught and frenetic, and that's generally the sentiments that we're getting from people. But out of the difficult times, someone always excels.
And tonight, it was the man we're looking at right now, Aaron Smith. Another win to add to his tally. 3 out of 3 so far this season. Can anybody stop him? Well, if you want to find out, you'll have to join us in 2 weeks' time on the 13th of January, where we head to Daytona, the wonderful Daytona that we all know and love. But this has been our final broadcast of the year. Thank you everybody that's been watching us here on the Vertex Stock Car Cup throughout 2020, and we hope to see you all in 2021. Thank you once again, Chris, for joining me. Wonderful fun as always. I've been Chaz Draycott, and this has been the Vertex Stock Car Cup. We'll see you in 2 weeks, everyone. Happy New Year.